Are you new to the whole maximal running fad that's been going on? Or have you always said to yourself, like, that's a lot of shoe for someone who just isn't at the front of the pack? Or I don't want to pay a whole lot of money for a shoe that I'm just not going to feel comfortable in because it's so tall. Well, I might have the shoe for you. Welcome to Always Running Forward. I'm your host, Justin Stone. And if you're asking yourself, hey man, it's been like 8 years since your last shoe review, I would say, yeah, it has. There just hasn't been much of a reason for me to do one. I've been training really hard, and I've been running a lot of races, and I've been focusing on my running career, and no, that's actually not true at all. I've just been living life. Had a couple of kids, changed some jobs. That's just how life happens, right? So why now am I deciding to come back and do a shoe review? One word, maximal. The maximal fad has blown up. It is... Everyone who's anyone now runs in really big foamy shoes. And to be honest, I'm not a maximal runner. I've never been a maximal runner. I've never seen the benefit as me, as a runner, as a mid-pack runner, who I'll always be a mid-pack runner, to get a really expensive maximal shoe. I remember when the Adidas Boost came out years ago and I tried it, and it was like spongy, like lily pads of marshmallows. And I stepped into it and I was like, this is awful. This is so uncomfortable. I like a shoe that's low to the ground. I like a shoe that's that molds to my foot and I can really feel each step. Much like the Adidas RC5s, which is like the last pair I own of low stack shoes. So why do I feel compelled to get back on YouTube, pull out all the camera and microphone gear to talk about a shoe? It's because I'm like a lot of runners who just don't know if maximal is their thing, but somewhat might feel forced into buying a maximal shoe because that's the state of the running industry. Every shoe company cannot stop talking about maximal. Some companies are even getting bigger and bigger shoes, so much that they're being banned for professional races. I understand that it's really cool for front of the pack runners or for elite runners to shave those seconds off their time. Yeah, we all love seeing it. It's very exciting. But for me, cost of shoe versus time saved in a run is disproportionate. And I really kind of fought the trend, vehemently fought the trend, because I just don't see the value and I like the shoe that I like. We're runners. We're habitual. We like the shoes that we like. So that's why I wanted to kind of talk to you, because of this New Balance FuelCell Rebel V4 has kind of changed my opinion a little bit as a runner who is entering the maximal running fad. I'm just going to say it. It's a fad. And that's because this is what I would argue not quite a maximal shoe. And I would say those who run in maximal shoes all the time would agree with me. This is a 30 millimeter stack height with a 6 millimeter drop. So it's taking the stack height away. It's a customary drop to shoes that I run in, about a 6 millimeter drop, 30 millimeters in the back, 24 in the front. And it didn't feel like when I put this on that I just sunk into the ground, nor did it feel like my head was in the clouds. Like a big fear of mine was to be like, I feel so removed from the road, and do I have to worry too much about balancing that and changing my cadence and my foot strike to appease the shoes that I'm wearing? But it didn't. I put these on and I felt really good against the ground. So New Balance is using its PEBA foam, which is fairly firm. And I think that really helped me get comfortable with having shoes on that were a little bit taller, that were maybe a little spongier, but still felt firm. And then also, it's a fairly light shoe. So this is a 10.5, and this is about 9.4 ounces. And that's pretty consistent with old shoes back in the day, with daily trainers. So it's not like I'm changing I'm not changing the way I run to, again, appease the shoes. And then the last thing too is the upper feels really comfortable. Now I have a narrow foot and I like to have shoes that are very tight, like those RC5s, very tight. The old Adidas Adios, they were very tight on my feet. I like that feel because then again, it feels like I'm not wearing a lot of shoe. This is a wider toe box, it's a wider upper, and they've actually widened it since the V3. But because of the way that you could lace the shoe and the lockdown on my foot, never felt like my shoe was kind of moving around a lot. I never really had to worry about if I was going to get a lot of hot spots or if I was going to kind of swing my toes left and right within the shoe, which again is another thing where I just go, you know what, like my old shoes never did this, and this is a crummy shoe, and this is a crummy run, and then my run turns to crap. And then the last thing I want to say is they're not wildly expensive. At $139, at least at this time of taping, that's a fairly inexpensive, again, Maximal shoe. If you are getting started into Maximal running, and some of us, again, are forced to, New Balance, great brand, really great running shoe brand. The shoe overall has helped me at least feel more comfortable about the Maximal running trend than where my perception was before. So is this shoe going to make me a Maximal runner? Absolutely not. I'm not going to buy the Super Comp Elite and spend $300 or whatever to go run a race. It's just not what I need in a running shoe, and I'm never going to be at a level to which that shoe is going to benefit me. I think a shoe like this would be enough. Am I going to run a race in this? Absolutely not. I'm still going to save my races for my Audios, my RC5s. I still have a pair of RC5000 racing flats, which are like 4 ounces that I probably should not run anymore because they're like 10 years old, but right. But I will say, as a daily trainer or speed work, this shoe is probably going to be the one that I reach for the most. Again, the stack height, not too high. The cushionness, the foam is fairly firm. The toe box is a little wide, but with the right lockdown and lacing, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. And it really made me feel a little bit faster, and it did make me feel a little bit fresher after the run. Is that a mental thing? Is that really something that the shoe did? Who knows? Maybe I'll come back on and tell you after I get to 100 miles what this shoe is like. But if you're new to Maximal running like I am, I would seriously give this a thought. At least go to your running shoe store, talk to an expert about it, and then see if you can try it on and put in a couple miles, because it was surprisingly okay, which is fine by me. I didn't expect this shoe to set the world on fire, but it surely did change my perspective on what a taller stack shoe would look like. And you look at the V3, which is still out, which is about $10 cheaper at the time of filming. They're wildly different shoes. The upper is narrower, the foam is different. Everything about it is basically just a different shoe. So I would go in, and I probably wouldn't buy on price. I would go in and talk to someone at a shoe store and just say, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm just entering the Maximal running fad, boom, I don't know, mood ring that it is. I don't know. I'm sure some of you will disagree with me that Maximal is much more important to me, more important than I think it is. But I would love to hear, especially if you're starting the Maximal trend. Like, if you're getting into it, I'd love to hear about it. So let me know in the comments. And maybe I'll get on and I'll do another video at 100 miles and see if I still like the shoe. But as of right now, I'm going to give it a go. I'll see you next time.